Good evening.
Episode 3.
Episode 3, Merseyside Derby Special. And as keener viewers may have noticed, we seem to be one short today. I think he's got stuck training, hasn't he? As good old Dom.
He'll be here when he gets here, though. What?
He will be.
He'll rock up with his smartphone like he always does.
Steaming and sweaty from busting that bag as usual.
Yeah,
to be honest, maybe we can get sort of the sort of Fulham dissection out of the way because I know he's fuming about it.
Oh, I don't really want to talk a right lot about it, if I'm honest with you.
No, me neither, to be honest. How are you doing, mate? You all well?
Yeah, not so bad, mate. Not so bad. Mixed feelings.
It's been a bit of a strange week for Evertonians, hasn't it? After that Fulham game. The less said about that, the better, to be honest. It was absolutely, excuse my French, fucking shocking.
It was.
It was awful.
There's no other words to describe that match. It was just, we just didn't turn up like we do with some of the lower teams for some strange reason.
No, it just seems to be like typical Everton, innit? Honestly, I keep saying it. I'm actually going to let them lower my coffin into the ground just so they can let me down one more time. Honestly. But I think that has to be one of the worst games that I've seen us play in terms of not turning up. And I thought Newcastle were bad, but the inconsistency we've shown at home this season has just been absolutely appalling.
Yeah, and they can't just entirely blame it on fans because everybody's in the same boat. We travel away and we're playing. The only difference is we're playing on a different pitch. It's, that's the only. They can't use that as an excuse.
No, we were just shit, to be honest, and there's nothing else to really say about it other than that. And then obviously last night, Goodison under the lights again, and I don't know, I didn't expect anything from that game, if I'm honest.
No me, but we do need the reality check every now and again, and I think that provided the ultimate reality check to show us how far we are away from teams like Man City, and we need that.
Oh, yeah.
We need to stop running away. People need to stop running away and thinking that we're somebody amazing and special and ready for competing in Europe, because we're not. I'd still say we're a good 2 or 3 seasons away from that, yeah.
We're definitely a few good windows.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at the City squad, I mean, they've got literally quality in every single position, and you look at the bench that they had last night.
I was just going to say,
ridiculous.
I was literally going to say that Ali McCoist, who was doing a commentary at the time, said, "I'm looking at the bench and I'm frightened of the bench." People like Aguero sat on the bench. Scary.
Even within our 20, match day squad, we are still a good 8-9 players away from having a quality side that can, compete like Man City do. And I mean, at the moment, they are just a completely different league above everybody else in the Premiership at the moment. I mean, they're on form, they've got the confidence with them, and the quality that they've got, there's no doubt about it that they are just, I personally, I'm going to say it, I'm going to make the prediction right now, Man City are going to win the Premier League this season.
I'm totally with you on that, totally.
I just can't see anybody else.
You can't contest it. You can't contest it. Nobody else has stuck through it and continually performed like that. And I mean, the goal that we scored last night was the first goal in 45 days that they'd conceded. 45 days without conceding.
Be honest, it were a bit spawny, weren't it? I don't think Richarlison knew much about it. It just whipped in, came off at post. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong that we managed to score against City. I mean, it's fantastic that we've done that
against the run of play as well.
Yeah, and in fairness, we actually gave them a decent enough game considering the gulfing quality that we had. certainly against them, but their quality just won out. And up until, that second goal, we were matching them a lot of the time. And I think I was just impressed to see the improvement from that terrible Fulham game to what, we got sort of like last night. And I didn't expect us to win. I didn't expect us to get anything out of the game. So to actually take the game to them, that's shows that we can do that. It's just, you look at last night and you think, why can they not do that against the lower teams like Fulham and Newcastle? And we just seem to be dropping 3 points against those teams that we should be beating.
Thing is, though, on that, you do say about we give them a good go. We did, but we took a long time to get into it to give them a good go, didn't we? We didn't do it from the start. We kind of sat back and let them have possession most of the time. And I remember a possession stat flicking up when we were doing the watch through together all on Facebook, as we always do now. And we were saying, 83% possession to them after 15 minutes. What the hell?
Yes, I think seems like the idea was to sort of sit back and try and hit them on the counter, because we seem to do that all the way through. But problem is with City's quality, they just play around you. And, sitting back or, even chasing the game down, it's really hard to play against them because they can literally just play around you and they will pick off your weak players.
Yeah.
And I think, we always seem this season to sort of have this issue where we just don't seem to get going until after we concede. And often that's too late for us to actually get going. Luckily, we did get going, early after that first goal, but then it just went.
Do you know who we need on our coaching staff? I'm really, really serious about this. We need John Creese on our coaching staff. Strike first, strike hard, show no mercy.
No mercy, sir.
That's what we need. We need, because we're showing too much mercy and showing too much respect to people, aren't we? And we shouldn't be. We should be ruthless bastards and killing the game off really early. That's what we should be doing in the ideal world.
Yeah, definitely. I think it showed last night. We just weren't ruthless at all. Like we said, we just sat back and there was just no passion, no venom to actually go after that game and actually, take it to them right from the word go. And we did that with Man United. With Man United, we did. They had a class first half, didn't they, Man United? But yeah. I was still, even though we went in behind, I was still quite happy with the fact that, we'd actually shown up.
And same with the Spurs game as well, Tris. Every time they pegged a goal back, I was always confident in my head. You could feel it that we were going to score again. And every time they come back and try to level, we would always go back in front. I always thought that.
Yeah, definitely. And we certainly have shown at times that bounce back ability to sort of, come from behind, which, let's be honest, Marco Silva teams, we've said it every time, Marco Silva teams would have folded at 1-0 and that's it. Whereas Ancelotti does seem to be able to put a rocket up the backsides to actually, move forward and do something. But I'll tell you what's impressed me recently, Tom Davies.
Yeah.
He seems to really be stepping up. I don't think he had a great sort of first half an hour yesterday, but when he did
tackling and his first touch, definitely.
Yeah.
Lots better.
Yeah, put a few misplaced passes in that first 30 minutes yesterday, but overall, it was actually pretty good. Contender for man at match yesterday, and I think he was one of the better ones against Fulham, if you can say anybody was actually worthy of.
I was just going to say that. Pick a better one. One that's got above 1 in the ratings, maybe.
Their players.
And the other thing is, Pickford came in and I'm a bit dubious about the third goal. I know you're not, but I think he could have stretched a little bit far. But he rarely put a foot wrong, Pickford, yesterday.
He didn't. His positioning looked better as well, and it looked like he was actually relishing the chance. Yeah, definitely. And I think Alton looked a bit shaky, and I think it was good that he was able to rotate Pickford back in. I have to say, though, James Rodriguez, it's really starting to worry me a little bit, particularly after that episode in the Fulham game where he literally just decided, I'm going to feign injury because I can't be arsed playing anymore because we're behind. And he didn't look the same when he came on.
Yeah, he's a bit of a diva, isn't he?
Yeah, he seems to be, he's that luxury player, isn't he? That it's only going to work for him in those games where he's got that little bit of space in behind to pop those balls in through to forwards and stuff. And he just couldn't find his range last night. And I don't know.
That means that he's going to get the one trick pony thing levelled at him quite a lot now, I reckon.
Yeah,
and I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to prove everybody wrong who was saying that he's a one trick pony. I really do. But if I'm being really honest with you, I think the Rodriguez signing was partially to do with his ability, and a great part of it is to do with attracting other players to say, look, we can go to Real Madrid and get good players like him. Because, they paid 80 million for him, didn't they? 80 million euros for him, they paid.
Yeah, and we got him on a
We got him for no. Yeah. So.
Marcel Brands, Carlo Ancelotti take about.
And I noticed on social media as well, in some of the Facebook groups, some people were saying about Brands taking a new deal, that it was a really bad thing, and but I couldn't understand that. I mean, they must be surely confusing him with Steve Walsh, because Brands hasn't made many bad signings, has he? Really?
No,
he's missed out on a few. He has missed out on a few where he were caught sleeping a little bit, and somebody's gazumped a deal or something like that. But do you know what? He hasn't made many bad deals. Steve Walsh did.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at sort of the Moise Kean signing, on paper it's actually a good signing. It's just
look at what he's doing now. Yeah,
exactly. It just wasn't suited to Everton. I think that's the biggest problem. It
Not
wasn't
suited to
about the
England,
team. It just
maybe.
Yeah, it just. I don't know. Every time he got roughed up a little bit, that were it. His head went down, and it's a different game, and we've seen it. And I think we spoke about it last week as well. You've got the likes of Klaassen and Sandro Ramirez and people like that came in and just couldn't actually get to grips with the English game. So I think don't think we'll see him in an Everton shirt again.
I think the funniest thing was when me, you and Don were talking about it yesterday, and you said with all the firepower behind him, giving it to him on a plate, I'd bloody score.
It is a bit of a pod league though, in it. Let's be honest. I mean, the French league is terrible. It's worse than the Scottish league, and that's saying something. But imagine it's literally like playing Accrington Stanley every week. But problem is, in your team, you've got the likes of Neymar, etc., Mbappe and all them pinging balls into you. It's literally laying it on a plate for you. Literally, you just stick your foot out and tap it in. My 3-year-old could score in that team.
Yeah, absolutely. They haven't actually got another team that competes with them in that league, have they? At all?
No,
I mean, it's like you say, it's worse than the Scottish league, because they've got the two Glasgow teams, but in the French league, they've just got themselves. There's nobody else showing any form of competition whatsoever there in that league.
Not at all. No, and that's it. I mean, they're literally dominating a league because they are the only team that can do so.
With the money.
Yeah, lots and lots of money in a team that, is full of quality, and also, look at the teams around them. They don't stand a chance against a team like that.
But they haven't always been like that. I mean, if you don't want to quickly just talk about the French league, I mean, back in the 80s and the 90s, you had the likes of Saint-Etienne, Bordeaux, Marseille, Montpellier even giving it a go. There were a few good French teams, Nantes, FC Nantes and Lyon. In the back end of the 90s into the noughties, Lyon were a really good team. They've got the best women's team in the world at the minute of Lyon, apparently, on paper, so...
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that league at all. Is it just the forgotten league? It must be.
Quite possibly. I mean, you look at sort of, I'm sure it was the same for you, but growing up, obviously, Italian league as well was huge.
That big Channel 4 thing there, that Channel 4 invasion was amazing.
That league's kind of dropped off now, and obviously, even the Spanish league really isn't as prominent as it was. I think more people tend to look to the Bundesliga than anything else at the moment in terms of European leagues.
I used to watch Ancelotti on Channel 4 in the Football Italia that they used to do, I used to regularly watch them, yeah, I remember that, yeah. But the one thing I noticed always about the Italian league was it a very slow game, wasn't it? Very slow, short passing game. Very slow and tiki-taka, but can you imagine? I mean, tiki-taka is supposed to be a fast movement of getting on the ball, running into space and passing it to each other, in like a zigzaggy formation or whatever, or in a shape, but Italian football, they just walked. Everywhere they went, they walked. Nobody ran.
Yeah, they did. And I think that's part of the reason why Moise Kean didn't actually get up to speed with the English game, because he was so used to it. I mean, even now it's a much slower league. And Premier League, English football is a hell of a lot quicker. And I think I've always said
and more physical as well.
If England actually were able to play at the pace of the Premier League and Championship, etc., we'd do a hell of a lot better than what we do, but we slow it down to international football level where we're passing across the backwards and forwards and backwards and sideways, and it's this whole continental way of playing football. And it's, if we stuck to what English football is usually about, which is exciting. I know we're seeing more of it coming into Premiership now, this whole continental, because of the the European managers and stuff which are in the league now, like our really annoying, let's park a couple of players right on the edge of the box, get the goalkeeper to kick it to them, and then let's try and play out from the back, literally like 2 feet away from other players. And every time I'm like, oh God, we're going to give it away. And I know they're trying to create space by pulling, forwards up so we've got some space to play into. But God, it doesn't half with me.
No, it's not like it used to be, is it? Not like it, like we talked about in one of the previous podcast episodes, where goalkeepers are better with the feet now, but goalkeepers are almost like a fifth defender now, aren't they? And
they are.
They're passing it amongst themselves, and I notice a lot more. They train a lot more in the footwork controlling the ball. And there was an incident in last night's game where Richarlison came to chase the ball down and the keeper took it round him, did a Cruyff turn round him, and then just passed it. And you just think, in the days of Big Nev, I mean, Nev was a decent outfield player. I'm using Nev as a bad example, really, because Nev was really good with his feet. But I mean, like, say someone like Tony Coton or somebody like that, or do you know what I mean? Somebody like that who wasn't good with the feet, they wouldn't have done anything. They wouldn't have dared do shit like that at all.
No, I think it's all changing, innit? Because you've got your sort of like your left back and your right back, which are merely wing backs now. They're getting in. They're the ones crossing the balls in place of sort of the natural wingers that would normally do that. And you look at the quality that like Dean has when he's on form. I think he's been a little bit off.
What do you think to him? What do you actually on Dean? And what do you think to him being pushed a bit further up the pitch? Do you think he's doing a good job where he is?
I think he is for the most part. Because I mean, if you look at the number of assists that he's got for the goals that we've scored and stuff like that, I think it's one of the highest in the Premiership, which for a defender is pretty good. And he's certainly got that quality of getting it in. I mean, we had that with Baines, didn't we, before? That getting forward and crossing the balls in, and it allows those wingers to actually get more central, to pick up those scraps, setting a little bit back from that. I just think past few games he's struggled a little bit. Maybe it was because of the injury and he's not quite 100% fit yet. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. I do think on the other side, I think Coleman is maybe not quite as good at delivering those crosses.
I hate to say it, he's losing his pace, and I know he runs at players, but he is losing the pace that he used to have, because he used to be like dynamite down there. I think age is catching up with him now, sadly.
Yeah, I think it's understandable. I mean, he's played a lot of games for Everton, since he signed 60 grand Coleman from Sligo Rovers.
And he's been an amazing servant. He's been an absolutely amazing servant. You cannot fault. I mean, barring a loan spell at Blackpool, he's played most of his first team games, started nearly every game since he got into the first team properly. He's been a mainstay.
I think he's actually been a good captain as well. You do see him screaming at players at the back when things aren't going right, and he always comes out in the press afterwards, and if he's got something to say about it and he's not happy, he will call them out about it. And I think that's a good thing. As much as I like Jagielka, he wasn't that kind of captain. Whereas Coleman's not scared of throwing his weight around and telling him exactly like it is.
We've been spoilt though, haven't we? I mean, we've been spoilt over the years with good captains, and so they're becoming increasingly difficult to come by now. Good leaders in the team, not just talking captains, I'm talking leaders in general. If your team hasn't got a load of leaders in it, I think a lot of teams struggle when they don't have a lot of leaders.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, who out of our squad could you say is a leader apart from Coleman? Pickford doesn't shout at his back four enough. His back four need to be shit scared of him, and he doesn't shout at his back four enough. I mean, and even Olsen doesn't shout at his back four. He expects them to do all the work when the cross is coming because he doesn't like coming out for them. That's clear to see. So, and then if you look at your back four, who have you got? I mean, Holgate's quite vocal, but is he a leader? Is he somebody in the dressing room who will G people up? That's, Is there many of them on the pitch, do you think?
I'm not sure. Do you know what? I quite liked when Marco Silva made Tom Davies captain. Because I know he was up and coming and he's very, very young, but you can see it every game. He's always marshalling people, pointing out where to go next and stuff like that. And I quite liked him as a captain. I mean, we did really well, in fairness, when he was captain. We had some decent results under Silva with that. And I think it's just because he's got that respect in the dressing room with the players that we had at the time. Is he going to command the respect of people like Rodriguez and, Allen and things like that? There's the other name, Allen. Personally, I'd give him a shot.
Yeah,
captain, if it were me. Because he's right in that right position, just in front of the defence. He's, cutting off those runs, making those tackles. It can look forward as well. Personally, I think he'd be a damn good shout for captain.
Does the dirty work, doesn't he, Alan? He does all the jobs that nobody else wants to do, which is, it's Gareth Barry's old role, basically. Gareth Barry was a similar, but not as quick as Alan. Gareth Barry was never known for his pace, but he was the same, like you were saying about switching the play and stuff like that, and, just ushering the ball out of defence and connecting it with the midfield and guarding your back four and stuff. They're the basic responsibilities, and if you can pull them off well, I think, make an half-decent player, and we've been missing him. We've been missing that presence, I think.
We have. I was a bit gutted when he wasn't starting yesterday, to be honest. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that. Maybe you just weren't quite ready.
Well, this was a strange thing because Carlo actually did say in his press conference, I'm sure he actually said in his press conference that Alan was available to be selected.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, maybe he just didn't feel he was quite ready, especially with it being Man City. He'd have been probably run ragged in that system anyway. Maybe he just needed an extra little bit, or maybe he was actually saving him purely for this game that's coming up on Saturday, which
maybe so.
I suppose it is the Merseyside derby special, so we should probably talk a little bit about the dirty Copites.
How do we need to be approaching this game? Do we need to approach it in the same way as we did with Man City, or do we need to be saying we need to get a win out of it, or we need to go and get something out of it? Because the Man City game, I'm sure that 99% of Evertonians would have just said, if we get a draw, I'm happy, but I'm not expecting to get anything out of it. I think it's a totally different mindset with the derby always, isn't it?
It is. I think it always is. I think we, as Evertonians, we always want to win, and especially against Liverpool. I certainly would not expect us to sit back, particularly where they are actually there for the taking. They are wounded at the moment, and of course it's all Jordan Pickford's fault. They're still crying about it. They are still moaning about it. I've even managed to update our little breaking news thing that we've had on every single week there for it. But yeah, they are still moaning that they want to kill Pickford. He's still getting death threats, all for murdering, of course, Virgil.
Poor Virgil. Poor Virgil. Look at him.
I was going to say them book of condolences. It's.
We should have had a minute's silence before the podcast started.
Do you know what? I think they might do that on Saturday.
We'll all stand round in a circle.
Bring on wreaths and everything, and gone are the days of genuine sort of like collaboration between Everton and Liverpool with the likes of this. One of my favourite images from a derby game. Actually, to be honest,
love it.
The good old 96. I know we have some banter and stuff, but we do come together when we need to for causes. But good God, the city is definitely gonna look like this. I'm hoping.
The bird is ours. Yeah, definitely.
I just love how Mashiri's made it like Everton's headquarters, lit it up in blue, like iconic symbol for sort of Liverpool Football Club, and stolen it and made it blue. Well, it was our badge first, to be fair, but
it was. If you know your history and all that, but you say that, and there's all sorts of other stuff that's gone on around the city as well, like that Liverpool 1 shopping centre. We made sure that our shop was called Everton 2, so that the address reads Everton 2, Liverpool 1. Very clever marketing.
Is very clever marketing as well. But yeah, I think we do have to, with this game, we do have to approach it in a way where we've got to get a result out of it. If there's ever a chance where we can get a result against Liverpool at Anfield, it's without the fans in. And it's while they are wounded, they are having a bit of a bad time of it at the moment because obviously Jordan Pickford murdered Virgil van Dijk. Shall we just talk about them challenges for a minute? Those dirty challenges, given the response that they've had. So I'm sure anybody that's watching will know they've
he is without sin. Cast the first stone.
They've literally cried about everything. So let's talk about the dirty Copites, shall we? A little bit. And I think they seem to forget some of the horrible, horrible challenges that some of their players have put in over the years, and been sent off for or not been sent off for when they should have done. It's amazing how short memories some of them have got. So I've got a couple of images. Just give me a vocal reaction to what you think of some of these challenges in Merseyside derbies, Liverpool players on Everton. So what about this one?
Everybody was kung fu fighting her.
It's literally like flying in, 2-footed. Put him on the deck. It wasn't good, that one, was it?
That puts Eric Cantona to shame, that does. Jesus Christ.
And then there was this perler as well, which was purely deliberate. And
you've put the dirty Copites banner over it. I can't quite see that.
I'm just gonna. There you go.
That's an ankle bend, isn't it? Oh my God!
Ankle bend. It was. I think if I remember right, it was on Sylvan Diston.
Shit.
And it was straight down the back.
Oh no, it wasn't Gerrard. Who was 7? Who played number 7? I can't remember now. Gerrard played 8, didn't he? Can't remember number 7.
Speaking of Gerrard, he's not besides it either. He can't be excused because look at this one.
Let's use Naismith as a footrest.
I mean, that one was a proper two-footed lunge straight
my
into his
God.
midriff. And I honestly can't remember. I remember the challenge, but I can't remember if he got sent off
Punished.
afterwards or not. I can't remember. But some of them actually did go sort of, unpunished and stuff. And you look at some of those and you just think, the Jordan Pickford one wasn't that bad. It was just clumsy.
Yep.
But they were proper derby challengers, weren't they? That's all Pickford did. It was just a proper
This is
derby
what you want to
challenge.
see, though. You want to see the physicality of the derby. It's a clash of the titans, isn't it? And the two local teams that have a fierce rivalry on and off the pitch, lock horns. You expect kind of stuff like this.
Yeah, you want that big
and when you're a
flame-
paying supporter,
flame
when
tackle.
when you're going to fill Goodison or fill Anfield out, you expect as part of the money you pay to see somebody twat somebody else. It's just how it is, unfortunately.
A few, bruising,
Unfortunately.
few early bruising challenges always set the, the theme
Set the
for it. I
tone,
think
yeah, totally.
It's just the problem is they all go punished now, don't they? Because football's gone a little bit soft. It's not really a contact sport anymore in that respect. But you still want to be seeing, those battles, players going in for 50-50s and, even what will it be a couple of seasons ago now in the derby where Ladyboy Firmino and Mason Holgate came together.
Yeah,
and,
I remember that.
Something was said and he literally pushed him over.
Pushed him into the stand, didn't
Hoardings,
he?
didn't he? And
Yeah.
I just remember Goodison crowd just cheering because he'd done it. And it was literally, it's moments like that. I mean, I don't like to see players get pushed over a hoarding or anything like that. And he'd obviously thought he'd said something racist or something to him. So it was probably within his rights to sort of do what he did. It turns out, I think, didn't they go to sort of like lip reading or something to try and figure out what he'd said?
They did, but they never ascertained what it was. They never actually got
No.
what it was, I don't think.
And because they couldn't actually justify it, nothing was taken retrospectively against sort of either player. But I mean, it was great just to hear the crowd erupt with that, sort of vigour about a player getting pushed over orders. I still remember it now. It's brilliant.
And I mean, I used to talk to my granddad about football a lot, and he used to say stuff like, if you touch a keeper now, it's a foul. And he said, back in my day when I were a kid, he said, the keeper had to hold on to the ball and hope to hell that nobody pushed him backwards into goal, otherwise it used to count as a goal,
Like dive on
Changed
ball and
so
keep
much,
hold of
hasn't
it and
it?
just
Yeah,
belting
exactly.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has changed quite a lot. So what about, obviously we've been Evertonians, like lifelong Evertonians, so we will have seen a lot of derby games, more often than not really going our way, particularly at Anfield. I have to be honest, I can't actually remember the last time we actually won at Anfield.
Do you want to know? Do you really want to know?
Go on, Mr. Statman.
Gosh. Mr. Statman, oh my God! Right, this is. I'm going to have to look right back to this. Right, the last time we, oh my God, it is a long scroll. Is this? It honestly actually is. The last time we won was Gravison and Carsley were playing at the time. That's how long we go back. Right, so the last time was the 27th of September, 1999. 22 years almost.
22 years.
We won 1-0. Yeah, we won 1-0 then.
That's
That's mad.
Madness.
That is
22 years.
just nuts, isn't it?
It's
That
we
is
need
just
to end.
nuts.
We really need to end that run, and I'm hoping we can do that. To be honest, but what's your sort of best sort of derby memory really from sort of all the derbies that we've seen? I'm sure there's a few.
There's a couple. I mean, the best one I ever saw us play was in the FA Cup. I think it was 91 or something like that. It might have been 1990, I'm not sure. Let me bring the thing up, I'll be able to bring you the exact date. Yeah, right, so we played in the FA Cup 17th of February 91. We drew 0-0 at Anfield. They came to our place, and it were a 4-4 thriller. Do you remember that one?
I do actually, yeah.
And then it went to a second replay, which was again at Goodison, and Davy Watson smashed one in to make it. We came out of that 1-0. We won 1-0 on that one.
It's kind of reminiscent of what happened a little bit later in sort of like 2000s, weren't it? Where we had literally like draw after draw, and I think it was like 2 replays, and then eventually Dan Gosling managed to grab a winner before screwing us over and going up to Newcastle on a free with some dodgy loophole in his contract.
That was in 2009, and that was on our road to the final. That That was actually on our road to the final. We drew 1-1 at Anfield, and then they came to us and we beat them 1-0. And if you remember, actually, it was controversial with this because I was thinking if it happened to the Liverpool fans, they wouldn't have took it like we took it. We took it in quite good spirits, considering. But a lot of the TV regions, when Dan Gosling actually went to hit the shot, the TVs blacked out. So some of the transmitters went down at the moment that the goal happened. Yeah. I saw the goal, but a lot of people didn't.
No, I remember I saw the goal, but I remember everybody going, "What's happening? Why can't we see it?" Yeah, I do remember that, and I think we played him in the
just in some ITV regions, wasn't it? Because it were on ITV, I think. Or
we played him in the league as well, didn't we? Quite close to it, and drew then as well. There seemed to be a lot of draws in that sort of era, and then we finally did get them one over on them.
Yeah, we drew against them. Actually, this was a thing because we played them on the 19th of January in the league at Anfield, and we drew 1-1. And then we played them on the 25th. That was 6 days later.
Yeah.
At Anfield, and we drew 1-1 again. That was the FA Cup. And then on the 4th of Feb, that was when we won 1-0 on our road to the final. Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean, the stats are shocking. The stats are absolutely shocking. Of the games that we've played, we've won 82 of them, lost 121 and drawn 85.
Oh.
That is...
Yeah,
that's shocking. That is absolutely
It's not
shocking.
great, is it, considering it's such a rivalry and, yeah, they've always tend to got the better of us there in Derby stats, considering we were first ones in City and everything else. But that rivalry is still massive. I think possibly one of my best memories was when Andy Johnson, and it were at Goodison.
Was that the 3-0 by any chance?
It was the 3-0, yeah, and he stood there like... I actually had a signed Andy Johnson picture on my wall doing that. Until he left,
it was the one that he scored the second goal. Yeah, because the second goal he scored was a Peperena mistake because he went to catch it and it bounced off. He parried it straight into the path of AJ, didn't he? And AJ whacked it in then.
Yeah, that was a good game, that one. I remember that one pretty well. And obviously back in 80s we had a few umdingers as well, was both chasing title and stuff like that. But yeah, we've not got too many fond memories of these games over recent years, particularly one. What will it be now? It must be about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was actually doing a showcase with the band, and it was really weird because it was like a tribute showcase, and we were sat in this club sort of in Sheffield waiting to go on, just talking football, like all in costume, so talking football with like Navi, Michael Jackson tribute, and Freddie Mercury, which was weird, sort of like talking about Spurs and stuff like that. And it was Merseyside derby night, and Liverpool absolutely battered us. I think it was that night. I think it was like 6-1 or something stupid.
5-2.
Yes, yeah, it were a terrible game. And yeah, we got absolutely battered. And I just remember thinking,
well, remember a couple of years before we had 2 4-0s in 2 seasons as well.
Yeah.
Both at Anfield, though, thank God. I mean, I say thank God that's a small mercy, but if that had been at Goodison, my God.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that it doesn't go down to that one like we had with Pickford, just tipping it over his own line, sort of like in the last couple of minutes.
The one that he didn't even need to go for, you mean?
Yeah.
He didn't even need it. He should have just left that, and that would have bounced happily over the bar, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, that
Origi seems to always score against us as well.
He does. I'm hoping Pickford takes him out early in game, like he did Van Dijk. I don't wish any injury on anybody. I'm not being mean. It's just Derby Day humour, but
we just hope it's competitive in terms of tackling, don't we? That's what we really mean, isn't it?
Yeah, just some hard tackles, and both that works both ways as well. There's nothing football fans in a derby game like more than some hard tackles. I know we'll all be like, "Oh, you're dirty," as if they do it to us, and they'll do exactly the same to us. But as long as it's a hard fought challenge, and it's a fair challenge, rather than dirty and just damn right career ending, then everybody loves to see that, and it's part of Derby Day, isn't it? Doing that.
Yes, it is. It's the separating of the men of from the boys, isn't it? And the 2 things I've noticed about derbies over the years is the first thing is that it doesn't matter what position in the league either of us are. No. It's like a cup match every single time we play, right? And sometimes it's a bit of a one-sided cup match to them, right? But other times it's been a one-sided one to us as well. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, again, we must be one of the only teams that have families that are separated by loyalties between clubs, and they go to the match together. How many other teams across the world who have same city clubs can say that the fans all sit together in places, you know.
Yeah,
The
that's why
family
they call
stands
it
and stuff like
friendly
that. It's
derby,
amazing.
isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
because of the family connections, you literally see, Liverpool shirts, Everton shirts, sat in same stand, and nobody cares. I know you don't celebrate in the middle of, sort of like, Gladys Street end if you're wearing a Liverpool. Well, nobody would ever go in Gladys Street.
Nobody would ever go in Gladys Street
shirt.
with a Liverpool shirt. No way. Just the
But
Bullens, maybe.
Yeah, but it's sort of, it's accepting that, you're taking your granddad who's a Liverpool fan to game, and you're going to watch the derby together. And I always remember it growing up, seeing it, when it was much more mixed than what it is now, and it literally was a complete mixed stand. And
Yeah.
they literally do, like, for 90 minutes you hate all the rest of your family if they support other team, but then you go to a pub, you have a drink, and it's all good. And yeah, you don't get that at sort of Manchester derbies, and
You don't get it
certainly
anywhere.
don't
Have you ever seen it
certainly
anywhere?
You don't get it at Sheffield derbies, I can say that much. I mean, I've been to a few of them, and oh god, it's so competitive in stands, as it should be. It's just nice that, I know we give each other some stick and everything, but it is nice when we get that interaction.
Yeah, exactly. It's unique.
It is, and we do support each other in certain things as well. I mean, that we
Community
popped up
projects
earlier,
and Hillsborough
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, we do.
things like that. I mean, that at that particular game, the tribute that it did, to the 96, we do always say that we're all in it together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of,
We are.
for me especially, being, coming from Sheffield, as a Yorkshireman, and, knowing people that were involved in that, tragedy. I remember seeing it on TV and everything else. Evertonians and the club stand, together with Liverpool on that one. There's never any question about that. So even though we are, two separate clubs which give each other a lot of banter and a lot of hassle and, insult each other, maybe the death threats recently are a little bit, out there, but
bit OTT,
overall,
yeah.
it's, in terms of the city, it's, they do support each other, and it's nice.
Yeah, and the thing about both you and I, what we have in common actually is, on that note, is, and I know it's a really bad thing to have in common. It is awful to have this in common, but we both from cities that have suffered major football disasters. I'm from Bradford, so obviously,
Bradford
I'm literally,
fire.
I can see Valley Parade from my window pretty much. I'm right close to Valley Parade, and obviously you're Sheffield. I don't know how far from Hillsborough you lived at the time, because you live out in the sticks now, don't you? But
Yeah, so the time it would have been, I think it's about 5 miles, something like that. So it's not that
Can you
far.
remember the madness, though? Can you remember the madness of that day?
Yeah.
Because I can remember Bradford City Fire like it was yesterday, as in all the ambulances gridlocking all the roads. I've never seen as many ambulances in my life, or fire engines.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I've seen I've seen sort of like the videos and stuff, in sort of like health and safety talks and fire marshal talks and everything else about the Bradford City, just how quick it actually spread and everything. But
And I
I do
mean-
certainly remember the madness of Hillsborough. That was just, even thinking back to it now, as a kid, just seeing that on live TV and thinking, Jesus, what the hell's going on there? That's just scary.
So sad.
It's so sad, and so many.
And even worse was when the media got hold of it and decided to try and blame the Liverpool fans to say they were drunk and stuff like that. And know, things like this. I'm so glad that they managed to get the justice or going the right way to prove that it was nothing to do with the Liverpool fans.
Exactly the same against South Yorkshire Police and everything as well, from those inquests and stuff like that. And it's appalling what those families actually had to go through to actually try and get the justice, for those 96 innocent people that just went to a football game and never came home. Nobody should ever go to a football game and never ever come home.
Absolutely
I know
not.
people say it's just a game. It is more than just a game to most football fans, but nobody should ever go to a football game and not come home. And that's the same for anything else. Any other disaster, any other deaths. Broad, Hastel, all of that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, football's football, and as a community, we all stick with
all
it.
joking aside, we will all stand shoulder to shoulder. All the true fans of football, when things like Hillsborough come about and you've got the anniversaries and things like that, regardless of what colour you normally wear, everybody wears red that day. I don't care what anybody says. You're despicable.
Absolutely.
They're despicable if somebody takes the piss out of somebody to do with Hillsborough or anything like that.
Absolutely.
And I always say that. I'll always be really strict on that. And I'm sure you're the same, and I'm sure Dom's the same.
Definitely.
I'm sure 99% of us are the same in that respect.
Yeah, it's just the occasional knobhead, and every fan's got them.
And you tend to get a lot of them on social media as well, who just hide behind the keyboards, like the keyboard warrior
good old
generation
keyboard
of people.
warriors, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, particularly on
Disgraceful.
social media. I mean, yeah, we all have banter, and there's, I hate Liverpool pages and I hate Everton pages, or You'll Never Walk Alone. And do you know what I actually like about that particular page as well? The You'll Never Walk Alone. So I don't
You're
know
Not
if you're
Famous.
part of it. You're Not Famous Anymore. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Is
Love
that
it.
there's
Love
loads
that
of
page.
Liverpool. There's loads of Liverpool fans on there that
And they
join
take the
in the
banter.
banter,
Yeah,
and
they
they
take the
take it
banter,
and they
yeah.
give it back. And
Yeah.
that is the best thing about football overall,
Yeah.
and it's particularly when it comes to like derbies and stuff like that. And in there, you've got your Man United, you've got your Leeds fans, you've got your all hosts of fans that I hate Liverpool, but
And they all
you
stick
know
together,
what?
don't they?
They all stick together, and do you know what? Some of the Liverpool fans which are in there are brilliant at just taking the banter and joining in, and that's the best side of football. That rivalry. That's what it should be. Unlike the guy on some of the Everton pages, which literally within 30 seconds of posting it, he's commented something about Jurgen Klopp and everything else, and you just think, go away, mate, go away. But
Go back to Norway.
Go back to Norway. I don't think he's even from Norway. I think.
So a lot of them from the Middle East now, aren't they? And Africa and
Yeah.
that, that support them. But yeah, it's mad.
Spreading. You can't find many in Liverpool itself, but everywhere else you can. But I think that's the same about Everton as well. I don't think I've ever been on holiday anywhere where I've not come across Everton fans or people wearing Everton shirts, and it's always nice. It's great to see that we've got widespread. I mean, now our games are the most watched games in Colombia every single week.
And do you know, it were amazing what they did yesterday. Did you hear what they did yesterday about it?
I
as
didn't,
well?
no.
Mina, one of the Colombian fans, as part of the new fan club that they've set up over there in Colombia, one of the fans won the right to become a mascot. Now, obviously, because of social distancing and stuff, they're not allowed to be among the players or anything like that. So they did what was called a virtual mascot, where Mina, if you notice, he was carrying a tablet. Well, he was carrying a tablet with the front-facing camera, yeah. They do like a thing where you become a virtual mascot and you basically walk with the lads from the dressing room down the tunnel, and obviously when the sirens go, they pan around and show you everything,
Yeah, because DCL had it a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was Dine the weekend before. I've seen it, and it's a great idea, and we've always been good with stuff like that, though, haven't we? Sort of like
we've always been ahead of everybody, haven't we? With stuff
bringing
like
fans over, that have had lifelong dreams to come to Goodison, and making things great for them. That's the reason they're the People's Club. It's it's just a different kind. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the other clubs do great things for their fans as well. It's just we seem to have that extra mile that we go to make things like that special for people.
What I like about it is they look after their own as well, like as in Everton in the community projects. I think that is absolutely amazing, the Everton in the community. I think that is a massive stroke of a thing, for underprivileged kids and disabled children, forming a disabled Everton football team, things like that. I think that is amazing. And
they set up a free school, haven't they, as well? And they just, I don't know if it's in process now or it's actually set up, but they've set up
doing food
mental
banks
health
and things like that.
Mental health program
clinics,
and stuff like that. It's brilliant that they do that, regenerating that area of the city as they do.
And the plans that they've got for the legacy thing excite me as well. When Goodison gets pulled down, what they're going to do with it, that is amazing. I watched the thing with Helen Baxendale, the actual the CEO's presentation. I watched it a couple of years ago, and they were showing you the artist impressions of what's going to happen with the site of Goodison. Wow. Yeah. That is exciting stuff, that, isn't it? Building education facilities and leisure facilities and stuff.
Yeah, it looks like the new stadium as well's looking like it's going to be a go. I saw on one of the forums that there was. I mean, I'm going to miss Goodison, don't get me wrong. But I saw on one of the forums that they were saying, "What do you think the game should be named?" And I saw one comment which I thought was brilliant, and I really hope they make this happen. That was that if there's a family enclosure, they should name it the Rhys Jones Family Enclosure.
Oh wow, yeah!
And I thought that was an amazing suggestion, and I really, really hope they make that happen. Out of all of the suggestions for the names, that one stood out to me. Just to name that part, and I think that would be brilliant for Liverpool as well.
Ah, absolutely. That. Oh wow, I didn't see that you talked about there, but that absolutely amazing idea. But yeah, like I say, what they were doing with the community. But then, like you say, they've got projects going on in Africa. Sports Pisa, when they came on, they're from Kenya, and that kind of opened the doors to us to go into Africa and not only put the badge around there, but show what we do to local communities. And we did with some projects out in Kenya where we were supplying water and things like that, and we did some things out in the Far East with Chang. So we seem to be attracting corporate sponsors from all over the world that benefits us financially but enables us to put our stamp on what we are as a club in other parts of the world. Look what they've done in America, USA. We're massive in USA for the same reason.
Yeah,
because we have projects over there.
I absolutely love the USA Evertonians. I know when I went to New York for the first time, it was Jan. Yeah, it was
I'd love to have one.
I'd
love to have one on here as a guest, a USA Evertonian.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, back then there was an Everton bar called Mr. Denny's. I don't think it's there. I think they moved somewhere else now. And for every Everton game, when Bobby Brownshoes was in charge back then, we used to go, and they used to sort of, bearing in mind they were silly o'clock for them, but they used to get up and they all used to go in, and the whole bar was just full of Evertonians, and they were so friendly and so accepting. And I'd just be sat there in my Everton shirt in middle of New York in a bar, drinking at silly o'clock in the morning, just sharing awesome stories with these Evertonians. And do you know what? It blew me away because none of these people, or very few of them, had actually ever been to Goodison, but they were just as big a fans as
they know the history as well. They know the history.
And
they've researched all back and all that. And they know the stuff.
The sort of the acceptance, and the best thing was when you actually went to the toilet and you sort of like went into the cubicle. On the back of every door is that picture of Steven Gerrard in his Everton kit. with shield
with the FA Cup, with the old shield and the old league trophy.
Old shield in front of him. Absolutely brilliant. And there were lots of little things like that around, sort of like Tim Howard shirts, framed up on the wall and stuff like that. And it was just a whole brilliant experience to go to a different country and celebrate Everton games and stuff like that, all talking about the exact same thing. Sort of at the time, like I think Joel was getting a run in the team and he wasn't doing particularly well in goal, and just they all had the exact same notions that we have, that we discuss. And it was just nice to see thousands of miles away that there's this community of Evertonians in New York doing that.
And it's not just a part-time thing to them, is it? Not like a lot of
not at all.
Not like a lot of Man United supporters across the Middle East or Far East Asia or anything who just see the brand and they wear the shirt and they know nothing about the club. These guys are actually same as us, bang into Everton, and they live and breathe Everton, don't they? Live for every Saturday
absolutely
midweek game.
I mean, people find it weird that, and probably do with you as well, that we're from Yorkshire, but we actually support Everton. It's like, why don't you support your local team? Imagine what it's like being from, New York or, Atlanta and places like that, completely overseas. But they're the same Evertonians that we are. It's amazing.
And we seem to get about everywhere. Like I say, we were talking about the Far East and we were talking about the initiatives that we did in Africa, and we raised the profile of the club in Africa. We did North America, but not only that, I mean, we've got the affiliation with Everton Chile in South America, haven't we? That kind of expands that. And we're big in Brazil. Brazil and Colombia are massive Everton fans. I mean, I dare say it's to do with a lot of the players that we brought in. We seem to have a knack of getting Brazilians in, don't we? And I mean, we've got 3 in now. I'm losing count now, but yeah, I mean, amazing that we're just getting to every corner of the globe now as a brand. But when you talk about Everton fans in Yorkshire and stuff, I mean, how many times have you walked down the street and seen either somebody with an Everton shirt on, or you've bumped into them in the supermarket and they've got an Everton face mask? I see loads in Bradford.
Do you know what's really, really strange is I live on quite a small road, so it's just a small road. But I didn't actually realise, literally 100 yards down the street, there's an Evertonian. And I only I see him most days, and we always say hello. And the only reason I realised he was going for a run and he got his Everton jacket on. And I was like, oh my God, that's bonkers. And I see him walking around. It's only a small village, but I see him walking around all the time, wearing the shirts and stuff like that. Kids as well. And it's just so nice to see how widespread we're becoming. Very rare you used to see that many Evertonians sort of about and stuff like that. But I'm seeing more and more. And the great thing is that's come from... not from glory supporting. You see loads of Man United fans, Man City fans, Chelsea, Arsenal stuff all around. And most of that, you look at it, sort of half of the Man City fans now are probably Liverpool fans last year, and vice versa. They're for the team that's in front, but
who know very little about the club.
No, and you can never say that about Evertonians. They're certainly not glory supporters, that's sure, because we've not had much glory for a long time. So, you certainly can't accuse any Everton fan of being a glory supporter. But yeah, it's nice to see, that it is spreading. So, dare we look ahead to the game and think what's actually gonna happen? Do we dare have?
You just misspelt that, I think there.
No, I said bro.
No. I thought it were LIVAR. poo.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, I'm going to change that.
Yeah, make sure you capitalise it as well. So
oh yeah, it's got to be done. I'm gonna make sure I change that immediately.
Yes. Yeah, that's better. That's better.
That's more like it.
Do you think they're going to rely heavily on VAR? Do you think they're going to rely on getting penalties in this game?
I think they always do, don't they? But that said, I can't really criticise them for that because they're doing what gets them the points. You know, it gets them the penalties, and they play for that because they know they can get it. And Richarlison's exactly the same. In fairness, he spends more time on the floor rolling about like a moron. So,
He does.
As Evertonians, we hate that, and we call him out on social media and stuff.
I do.
Like that all the time.
I'm the first person to tell him, get up. You know,
we hate that, and it was exactly the same with Rodriguez when he was limping around like an idiot at Fulham. Fans just called him out straight away, like, we don't do that. I forgot who was it that dove a while ago? Talking a few years ago, is it Phil Neville or somebody like that? Did a really blatant dive and literally got ripped to pieces by Evertonians. I can't remember which player it was.
I know what you mean now.
Somebody just a really blatant dive and literally got ripped to bits by Evertonians for doing it, because that's not what Everton's about.
You got me thinking now. I'm trying to think now who that was.
I can't remember exactly who it was, but whoever it was got absolutely ripped to bits for it. And the difference between Everton and Liverpool, I guess, is that Liverpool play to that because they can do it, and some of the fans like the fact that they get results from that. Will they try and do it?
It still doesn't make it any less frustrating, though, does it, Tris?
It doesn't.
Really
No,
frustrates the hell out of me.
It does me. But yeah, I'm pretty sure if Salah's playing, he's going to go down like he's been shot by a sniper. They're going to try everything they can to get an advantage, and credit to them for doing that. If they've got an ability to try and get in front, whether it's right or wrong, they're doing what they can do to get the points on the table. But it is frustrating. But it's a derby game. So hopefully, it's a leveller. It's a bit like an FA Cup tie, isn't it? A derby game. It's a leveller.
It's always had that cup game feel, isn't it? A derby, no matter when you play it in the season. And like I say, irrespective of your league position, it's always had that cup game feel, and it's always had that anybody can win it. Even though we don't win it that often these days, it's always had that going into the game. It's always on paper. It could be anybody's. Nobody ever makes a bold prediction and says either team's going to win, do they? Because they just don't know.
No. I kind of want to do that this time, just because I think it's the best opportunity that we will have to do that. But we know from past experience, it's probably not going to happen. But I really hope we go there, take the game to them. And I do hope for the first time in, 22 years, that we come away with 3 points at Anfield. I can't see a better time for us doing it. Their wheels have fallen off a little bit.
Can you imagine the noise, the level of noise that comes from every household around Britain, from Evertonians' households, if we do manage to pull that off? Can you imagine?
Oh, it's going to be bonkers. It's going to be like when Hibbert scored.
yeah. Everton win, we riot.
Yeah, Everton at Anfield, we all riot. We're just going to trash our own houses. We're not going to run on a pitch or anything. But,
excuse me.
I would really love to be sat here sort of, next week, sort of saying, I can't believe we actually managed to get 3 points. And I've been a little bit bold with my predictions over recent weeks, and they've been very hit and miss, but I'm going to put my ass on the line and say I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Everton. It might be wishful thinking.
I think, right, I think because we're on a bad run of form, or we're on a mixed run of form, should I say, where we've played some games good, some games rubbish, and Liverpool are on a bit of a downward, their motivation's going to be a lot higher than ours to get back up onto that. Jurgen Klopp's actually admitted that the championship, the Premiership race is over pretty much for Liverpool, hasn't it? So he's just going to say, play for pride now, lads, and we need to stop this slump. We still need to qualify for Champions League. So I think they're going to try and kick on, With us, it's vitally important that Alan's fit and he plays, and it's vitally important that DCL comes back. Do we know whether DCL could be back?
They have said it will be available for the game. He was actually apparently available. Was he? No. Was he not quite available? It all depends, doesn't it? Because Ancelotti said before the Man City game he would be available for the Derby game, but he said I was going to be available for the Man City game, and wasn't selected. So who knows? We need him back though. It's daft to say because last season fans were slating DCL. It's not good enough. He's championship at best. Blah blah blah, as they usually do. They're always hard on our players, aren't they? Now, look at him. He's one of those players. He's that number 9 that we've been missing for a long time, and they've invested time in him. They've invested patience in him. He's grown, and now he's become one of the most important players this season to our team. And we notice when he's not in the squad.
And the thing is as well, you say that, and looking at the previous wins that we've had where DCL's managed to score some goals, or Richie and DCL between them have managed to score goals, the whole setting has been down to the engine room, the midfield being right.
Yep.
And that's of equal importance to having somebody who can knock the ball in, And I think last night having Richie up front, I did say this to you, didn't I? That his hold-up play is nowhere near as good as Dom's, and I think that Richie is good as a centre forward, but in a 2, I don't think he's good as a lone.
No, I
don't rate him as a lone man at all. But do you know what? I think Ancelotti, if you notice, we started getting some good results with 2 up top. I think Saturday, he should take the plunge and put the 2 of them up front. That's what I think.
Absolutely agree. And if not Richie, get King on. Give him a go alongside these. Can you imagine the pace of those 2 up front would, and it's going to put, I think that would actually work. And I've been crying for that, for quite some time, because I think the 2 up top, it's a different way of playing and it gives us more options. We slumped off after that, there was the initial first 4 games where we were playing 2 up top and we were having Richie up top with DCL, and it was working. Because you got James being able to ping balls in behind to him. They were quick. They were able to do that. And then since we seem to have gone back to having just the 1 up top, it seems we struggle to get that ball into those forwards. And we've seen it in recent games. DCL's just not had much to feed off. It's like that whole feed the yak and he'll score. You need to give him the ball to make sure that he can score. And you look at some of those goals that he managed to score against Spurs in the Cup. He got an opportunity and he took it. He didn't need a second chance. He knows where that goal is, and as long as you're getting the balls to him, he's likely to score. But you've just got to get those balls into him in the right positions.
Absolutely, and I mean, if you look at it as a front 3, shall we say, then we've got Richie, we've got King, and we've got DCL. All of those, all right. Then apart from DCL can operate on the right if he needs to, if he really is forced to. He's done it for England, hasn't he? Didn't they bring him on as a right striker for England? I can't remember.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they moved him.
They did. So he can operate there, not perfectly, but the other 2 can work all the way across the front. So you can change your tactics up. You put King and DCL on, as a top 2, and have Richarlison slightly behind in support. And if that doesn't work, then you go to 1 up top again and put King out onto the right and Richie out onto the left. I think Richie's best position is still going to always be on the left. Yeah,
he seems to be more comfortable there. His work rate is a lot better. It's great that he can step up and he can play that centre forward role if he needs to. We've got the likes of Dine that's going to be able to get balls in from one side. It will be if he's on good form, although his crossing is a little bit Aaron Lennon or Theo Walcott at times. A bit hit and miss. If he can get forward, Andy van der Meijden. If he can get forward and, he can get those balls in, there's always a chance that, you've got DCL or King or, Richarlison on the end of that the ones behind. If it gets blocked out, you're going to have people there to follow up. And I think we've just got to take the game to Liverpool in that way. Start with an attacking mindset. We've got a solid back now for the most point. I hope they start sort of Godfrey again. Obviously, I don't know whether Mina will be fit. It'll be a big miss.
Yeah, it will.
Keane seems to be having a decent season again.
It'll kind of knacker the balance out a little bit now, because that means that Godfrey might have to come into the centre half position, and we might have to put Dean back into left back instead of further up the pitch. Yeah. Where I think, like I say, I think Ancelotti's experimenting with everybody in the squad at the minute to see what strengths they've got in other positions, because he likes kind of a versatile setup, doesn't he? Where people can change definitely. Quickly. It's a good mindset. I love it, and I don't know any other managers that really try and play that. Once it gets working, I think it's going to be good. I think it's good. Properly working, Tris. I'm talking like every game getting a result rather than this inconsistency that we've got at the minute. minute, and I think he's just tinkering, and I think a lot of that is to do with him tinkering.
Yeah, I think
developing his plans.
It's good that he's doing that, because he needs to find out about his squad, what he needs to, sort of what he needs to buy in the next window. I mean, we didn't really get anybody in but King, and that was purely just because we let so many go out. We got no backup, and it proved to be a very, very good move, because straight away DC gets injured. Had he not brought King in, we'd have had literally nobody, no support up top.
But then we need to justify that by giving King a run of games now. We need to justify why we brought him in and show people that he can operate as a good backup, because at the minute, from what I've seen of him, he just gets bullied off the ball quite a lot, and he's isolated where he is, isn't he? And that's not his fault. That's not his fault. I'm not blaming him for 1 minute, because I know he can score goals. I've seen goals that he scored against Man United and stuff, and I think, wow, what a brilliant player. But he just needs to find his feet, and he needs to find his belonging in the squad, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I think also he needs to be played sort of more central as well. And so far they've brought him in on left, haven't they, every time, rather than actually central. I think the only time he actually went centrally, he only got about 2 minutes, so not much of a sniff.
They need to give him more than 10 minutes bursts, don't they? Yeah. I mean, it didn't help. It didn't help Moise Kean. I hate to go back to the Moise Kean thing, but had he have started a few games, could he have been any different? Could he have adapted a little bit better? I think he'd have had more of a chance, definitely. Because Moise Kean didn't get the same chance either. He was 5 and 10 minutes here and there, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think the problem is, can we risk with, the squad that we've got at the moment, playing the players that aren't quite up to speed right from the start? And I think that's always the toss-up, isn't it, as to whether it's worth the risk. Can we bring them on in a couple of games, or
I'm all for having Finch Farm friendlies. If you need to do it, do it. I know there's a massive pile up of fixtures and it's difficult at the minute. But what's to say sticking your second string out against somebody else's second string and then throwing a couple of your experimental players that are on the fringes or have first team experience but don't play in a certain position? That's the perfect opportunity to do it. Ring somebody like Burnley up and say, send us your second string over. We'll have a behind closed doors friendly at Finch Farm because we want to try some things out, and it gives the other managers a chance as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's if they can do it with COVID restrictions as well, isn't it? But it's a good idea, and I think they should do that. Give them an opportunity. Like with Moise Kean, why are we not stick him in reserves and say, there you go, lad. Have next 5 games in reserves, get up to speed, get your fitness up, because he weren't quite fit enough when he first came.
And he wouldn't have been out of place in the reserves either, because the majority of people in the reserves are around his age. So he wouldn't have felt weird in there, would he? Whereas, if you got somebody who's like, say, 29 years old and you throw them in with a load of under 23s, it's a bit daunting, and it might be a bit demoralising for him to be there. But with Keane, he had every chance if they'd have done that. So I think some of it was to do with the way we treated him, really. I think some of it. A small part of it can be blamed on us, on us as a club, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, though, isn't it, how pretty much under 3 managers who were under from when he came in, and none of them really played him that well. So it's a little bit like the Lookman situation that I think maybe...
They're seeing things in training. They're maybe seeing things in training behind closed doors that we don't see, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's possibly what it was, because, even Ancelotti, just didn't give him that full thing. And even when Ancelotti came, he said, I want Keane to stay. So he knew of his quality, he knew of his ability. But even when he came, he just didn't play him. And I think maybe his head was down, and, even big... I mean, balls to Big Dunk for bringing him on and then pulling him off as well. He realised he was having an absolute stinker and pulled him off, and not many managers would have the bollocks to do that. But who argues with Big Dunk?
Only Dunk, exactly, and who would argue with him? I mean, we talked about... Isn't it funny that we talked about in the last episode about Dunk getting his house turned over and stuff like that, and then it goes and happens to Carlo?
To Ancelotti, yeah.
Honestly, we never put a curse. For everybody who's watching and listening to us, we didn't put that curse on.
Yeah, that
was
weren't our
literally
fault.
days after, wasn't it? Literally a couple of days after.
And to be honest, if it's anybody's fault, it's Dom's. Just because he's not here to defend himself. No, it's nobody's fault. We don't put curses on people.
No. We'll blame it on Van Dijk. I'm blaming it on Virgil. I think he got the witch doctors in.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what it was. You honestly, the 2 people in football you would not want to actually pick on to rob a house: Big Dunk and probably Ancelotti.
Somebody's getting whacked for this, I'll tell you now.
That's it. Somebody's getting taken out for that. Hopefully Jurgen Klopp or somebody like that before. So some key player just is going to get locked in a boot for a day until then gradually let out. It's like, you can't play at Derby game now. Why? I didn't do anything. It weren't me. I don't care.
I wonder where Dom is actually. Speaking of Dom, where has he messaged you or anything like that?
I don't believe so. No, I'm sure he's at enjoying his training. I know he works very hard at it. For those that haven't been on before, he is a professional boxer, so he works very, very hard in training and stuff like that, and has been training this evening. So the Holy Trinity has become a bit of a duo this evening, but I'm sure Don will be back next week. And from next week as well, we are going to be having some special guests appear with us as well, and that will hopefully be a weekly thing. So stay tuned for who will be our special guest next week. We're not going to let on until a little bit later. And maybe after we've either celebrated or sulked from Saturday's game. But yeah,
win, lose or draw, we'll be here, won't we?
We'll be here, lose or draw. That's it. We don't have to. We're used to losing at Anfield, so it's not like losing to Leeds for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I've sent him a message anyway to say we're still on. If he's still about in the next 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. Then he can stick his head in and say hello.
Stick his head and say hello. And
if anybody out there wants to actually come onto the show and come and have a little guest slot, message one of us and tell us why you should be on. We may consider
yeah, absolutely. Message the page. Message either Wayne, myself, or Don if you're interested. Even if you're not an Everton fan, but we're playing your team, in particular week or anything like that. So even if you're a Liverpool fan. And you want to dissect the derby result with us next week, give us a shout.
We want some level-headed, non-biased people, pragmatic people, though, rather than just your typical. What's that? What do they call that? Jimmy guy, Jimmy Liddle, is it? The deluded copite. We don't want a typical copite. We want somebody who actually knows about football. And I mean that's probably about 80% of you who actually know about your club and know about the Premier League. The other 20%, well, they're the typical ones, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and it's all about sharing, sort of football stories and trying to get a balance with these things so that people can get involved. It doesn't matter if you're not an Evertonian. Come on, talk about football with us. Talk about your favourite games, whoever you support, and drop us a message. We'll try and get you on alongside some other extra special guests.
Talk about the mutual players that have played for both clubs and stuff like that.
Absolutely. They say we're always happy to welcome people into the Evertonian family for an evening.
Yeah, that's how we roll, isn't it, mate? That is how we roll. 100%.
That is how we roll.
And also we're looking at expanding the platforms that we're going on that way. I mean, we're doing it slowly at the minute. When we get the first few episodes under our belt, we're mainly only just Facebook and YouTube at the minute, aren't we? But we'll be looking at other platforms like Twitch and Spotify and stuff like that. I mean, it just all takes a bit of time. We're just trying to find our little rhythm and find our purpose and where we all fit into things at the minute, aren't we? Just having a few.
Yeah, it's something we wanted to do for such a long
really,
time.
These are something that we wanted to do.
That's it. Something we wanted to do for quite some time, isn't it? And we finally decided, bugger it, let's do it. Let's do it. We've got the opportunity now, and I think in an ideal world, it was always wanted to be something that we'd be together, sort of doing. But with lockdown and everything, it's meant that we've actually got a platform now to actually do it without having need to actually all be together because Boris says we're not allowed. And so far, I'm quite happy with it. It seems to be working pretty well. So hopefully the people that are watching, and I've seen the little viewing figures in the top corner there that shows going up and down throughout the course of this little podcast. It's always nice to see people on there. And if you do want to sort of get involved, you can of course comment and talk to us through the various platforms. So Facebook, through the Facebook page, also through the YouTube channel. You can live comment on there as well. We can see those. So if you want to ask us any questions live, you can do. Similarly, if you've got any questions for us that you want us to answer,
or any topics or topics that you want us to debate upon, because that would be another good thing, wouldn't it? It's all good and well we have in our own agendas and things. It'd be so nice if somebody could give us something that we could talk about that maybe we didn't think about talking about,
Yeah, absolutely. It's at the end of the day, we do this to, get in touch with other Evertonians and stuff like that, and just put a bit of a Yorkshire slant on it. And neither of us actually sound right Yorkshire, do we? We're all from Yorkshire, but none of us actually sound right Yorkshire.
But we still don't say, all right, mate, all right. We
Hey,
steal cars and rob post offices. No, we don't talk like that. No, but I mean, there's lots of things that we can do with this. We're talking about we're going to do like match watch throughs where we're all together while the match is on, and we're not commentating as such, but giving our opinions live, our reactions to the match live. We could do post-match reactions, all kinds of stuff. I mean, if there's anything that you think that's not out there, I'm talking to everybody now, the listeners. If you think there's something that we could do to spice things up a little bit, or something we could, a feature we can add. I mean, we've got our own ideas for features, haven't we, Tris? So I mean, we're not just dedicated to rabbiting about Everton. There's going to be all kinds of other stuff that we're going to start bringing gradually in. We're just sort of finding our feet at the minute, aren't we? We've got round the tech side of things, I think, just about.
Yeah, pretty much. And has anybody actually noticed that we're all wearing different Everton shirts every single week so far? Me and Wayne keep spreading the love on the different Everton shirts. I'm not quite sure the ones from when I was like. He has, yeah. I'm not quite sure the ones from when I was 5 fit me, like, but I might try.
I'm not sure quite the ones from 10 years ago fit me.
This one's about chuffing 4 years, and it's looking a bit tight. Lockdown belly's kicking in a little bit, I think.
Yeah, we both got Changs as well.
We've got Changs on, yeah.
Both got similar era shirts. Yours is the last one, isn't it? Yours was the last one.
It is, yeah. Last one. So it was the 2016 season, because I had this one. I just bought it when we went on honeymoon in October 2016, and there was a guy there called Bisek, who was a lovely guy, and he collected football shirts, and I'd taken obviously my shirt along with me, and he collected sort of like Man United and stuff like that, and I thought he had to have an Everton one for his collection, so I gave him my shirt and then came back and bought this one when I got back. So yes, even spreading the love.
Yeah,
spreading the love.
Good stuff. And how many shirts do you reckon you've got now? Because I threw a lot of mine away. When they don't fit me or the sponsor starts coming off, mine get thrown. And I wish, in hindsight, I should have kept them all really and framed some of them.
I've got 36 years worth of shirts.
Wow.
I've got all but 2 home shirts from that era, and a fair few away third shirts and stuff like that. So I've got a lot of shirts. A lot of them are tiny, like from when I was a kid, when I was like a full kit wanker and everything. As you do.
I never told you a full kit wanker. I don't think.
I was 5. I was 5.
Oh, you was 5.
But yeah. Yes, I've got a fair few, and I think they're actually still spread out. Actually, I've got loads here. I've got still some at my parents, which they keep bringing me over every now and again as and when I find them, sort of like lodged somewhere in the storage and stuff like that. But yeah, I've got absolutely loads. So yeah.
What was your favourite out of all of those? What's your favourite shirt out of them all?
Oh, I have a bit of a soft spot, I've got to be honest, for the sort of like salmon and blue striped NEC one. I love that shirt, and I think it's one a lot of people like. I also quite like the one from the following season, with the like weird grey pattern, the Charity Shield kit that we won with that within 95.
Quite the like last one that we had NEC on, because it changed to Danker at that point, didn't it, with that one?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
So you could get 2 of the same shirt.
Yeah, and it was the goalkeeping kit from that point as well was quite nice. It's iconic of Nev. And I also think there was one a couple of seasons after, which was the black and blue striped with yellow, like a golden yellow.
Yeah,
with
that's my favourite.
The Everton badge. It was the 1-to-1 one, but it had the badge in the middle.
I had it when it was Danker, before it went to 1-to-1, because it had a couple of seasons as Danker and then one season.
Yeah, actually, mine has Danker on. I just remember the iconic images. So like,
it's a really deep blue, isn't it? It's like
deep
blue and yellow bars. That's my favourite Everton away shirt.
Yeah, that's nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's quite a few class from over the years. I'll tell you what I'm going to dig a few out for next week, and we'll just some of the old classics. And I'm going to try and wear a different one anyway every sort of every week. I'm actually
I'll
wearing
run
2.
out pretty soon, mate. I know you're wearing 2. Show what you're wearing underneath. Underneath. That sounds wrong. That sounds wrong.
I never actually intended on stripping off on the podcast. I've got to be honest. I'm actually wearing the sorts. But look at that.
They're shit quality Umbro, that, isn't it?
Absolutely shocking.
Proper shit quality.
And I've got sort of the away shirt. I've also got that purple sort of purple third shirt with the luminous yellow on. Every single one's done exactly the same thing. So yeah. Terrible quality them ones. So
Do you remember they brought the pink shirt out, the cancer research one? I think they should do that again, bring out something like that. It was a limited edition shirt, and there was a purple shirt that came out with that, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was, definitely.
In a special box, it was in a special presentation box.
It were,
And some of the proceeds went to cancer research, and I thought that was an amazing thing. Another good thing we did for the fans and to help people in the community. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, I've done a few good things like that, haven't we? But yeah, I'm going to dig out some of the other shirts for next week and see what the memories of them ones are, because they go all the way back to sort of like early '80s and stuff. So I've even got a 1966 FA Cup winning shirt. It is a replica that one though. It's not a it's not one of the originals.
So even though, wow,
the
things that Trebilco used to pull on. Before he scored 2 goals, that was...
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing I do have that I absolutely love. I've actually got a signed 1966 FA Cup final programme, signed by some of the players, which I absolutely love, and that's very, very safe. Something that my dad got me as a special treat a fair few years ago. So yeah, that's bit of my special Everton memorabilia, that one.
That is amazing. I wish I kept the old track. I loved the old tracksuits. I tell you what they remind me of. They remind me of Stuart McCall, because I used to see him warming up as a sub with the tracksuit top on. The ones that look very like Leeds United's, the white here, and then they had blue down the sleeves or something, and then yellow patches. Do you remember them ones?
Yep.
With the old Everton badge.
Yeah, I actually had one of those, and it was a Christmas present, and but it was one of those where it was from years ago that somebody had got me as a Christmas present, but I was like, I'm going to get like one of these salmon ones or something like that, because they told me what they were getting me for Christmas, and it turned out to be that one. And do you know what? I wore it for years. I absolutely loved it.
Awesome.
And it had the little square badge,
Umbro
badge,
little square Umbro badge. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, remember it well. And I also remember my first Everton shirt. My first ever Everton shirt was the one from when we first went to NEC, the first V-neck with diamonds, blue diamonds on it. And the NEC badge were about that big. Tiny little NEC. I don't know why they ever did that. But for the first few NEC ones, the badges were tiny on them, weren't they? Stupid.
Yeah, they were. My first one was actually the one before that.
All right.
But it was the Hafnia one, but it was actually, the problem was because I was literally a young kid, so it was, I don't know if you can remember, you used to be able to go to markets and they came in like a replica kit box and everything before they all went commercial and stuff like that, and it was one of them replica, so it didn't have the sponsor on or anything, so we're a kids one, but it looked pretty good. But yeah, some of those kits from back then were cooking.
Yeah, but the quality were a lot better back in them days, I think. The quality.
Oh yeah, you had to be, didn't you? You could have your jumpers for goalposts, stuff like that. You could just running around in mud and stuff like that. You do that these days, 3 washes on the naked.
Yeah, exactly.
And they had to last for 2 years.
You've just made me think, actually. Yeah, and then, they used to change them every 2 or 3 years, didn't they, back in the days? But and it does really piss me off that it's a commercial thing now that they do this every single year. They change the kits, but I mean,
because it's like 1 year it was away kit had changed, next year it would be home kit had changed. So you get like at least 2 years wear out of a shirt. But now it's literally like 3 or 4 new shirts every single season, and for a family, if you've got 2 kids to buy for as well as yourself, it's a really expensive thing. And I think I'd love Everton to actually pull the prices of those kits down to make it affordable, like we've done with season tickets and stuff like that, freezing pricing.
Well, we have now, haven't we? There's an up to 50% sale off on Everton Direct at the minute, if you can go. Yeah. We're not sponsored by Everton FC Direct, by the way, but it'd be nice if we would. But we are saying that if you get yourself on Everton Direct now, they're up to 50% off some of the shirts, and the home shirts are included in that. I think they've knocked like something like 20 quid off them, haven't they? Which is good.
20, I think it's 25 quid. I think when I had a look earlier in the week, and I think the only ones that haven't really gone down are the third shirts, and that's because they've not got much stock left of them. But the kids' shirts as well, so infant kits and everything, they've all got discounts on. So if you're looking to grab a bargain on those new kits, now's the time.
Yeah, and I'm going to say the third shirts. You talk about the third shirts; they're the best-selling shirt apparently out of all the 3 kits that have gone on sale. But if I have to choose
I quite like that away shirt. I love it. It's gone back to.
I like the yellow one. I like the yellow amber. Beautiful. I like the amber colour one because that's going back to our roots, and that's why I remember Everton wearing yellow and amber. But that shade of green is a bit odd.
It's a bit minty.
It's a bit odd, isn't it? It's not. You can't decide whether it's green or white. Almost, it's really weird.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. It's a bit like that one from years ago. The when we actually had the trip to FA Cup final, and I just remember Johnny Heitinger wearing that weird cream one.
Oh yeah, that were odd.
It was a third shirt, really weird cream colour, or that initial Sports Pizza grey away shirt that we had, just dreadful.
Yeah, we've had some horrors over the years, haven't we? You know, I'll be controversial. The worst one I ever think we ever had was the yellow one, and it had like a blue zigzag that went down across the shirt, a navy blue zigzag.
Oh yeah.
And that, to me, that was the worst shirt I've ever seen us wear. Awful. And I didn't have many too good memories with it either. Yeah, Chelsea did. Yeah. Chelsea had the same template. Yeah.
Yeah. The home one had the same template on, didn't it? But in white, a white stripe on it.
Yeah. Oh, for Chelsea, yeah, they did. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, we've had some shockers over the years, haven't we?
Just a bit. Oh well. So I guess we should probably wrap it up then. For tonight. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. It's been fun. We will be here next week for lots more fun. So do please tune in. Hopefully Hull and Trinity will be back together next week, and we'll have Don back as well. So nice to see everybody, and I'm sure I will catch you on Saturday, Wayne, when we're watching the game together, hiding behind the sofa or whatever it is that we're going to do in the last few minutes of that game. But
and Tris as well. We may have a guest the next episode, might we? Episode 4.
We do have plans for a guest. So hopefully you'll get to meet somebody else as well. So take care, guys. Thanks very much for watching.
Thanks for having me, bud. I'll see you again soon.
See you again soon. Always.
Fingers crossed.